All right, I'm going to show you a stretching technique called proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. I'm going to show you this technique specific to the hip flexors. I'm going to show you a PNF hip flexor stretch. So, I'm going to use the wall to get into a front lunge, rear foot elevated position. So I've got my front lunge, my back foot is elevated using the wall. You can use a couch, a stair, some pieces of equipment to elevate your foot like this. So this is my initial stretch. If you have a really tight hip flexor, coming into this position is going to be a pretty big stretch. In fact, you might even want to consider not elevating your rear foot at first. So, and please make sure your knee is always padded. So if you want to do this stretch without elevating your rear foot, it'll really just look like a front lunge. This will be a more comfortable place to start with this stretch if you find that you have a really tight hip flexor, so you get into this position and it's almost painful. So, again, I'm going to go back into my rear foot elevated front lunge hip flexor stretch. So this is my initial stretch position. PNF stretches will follow a pattern of 10 seconds held in this initial stretch position. We're probably somewhere around 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. When I get to 10, what I'm going to do is I'm going to contract the muscle I'm stretching against some type of resistance. So if I had maybe a resistance band around my hip, which I don't have right now, I would contract my hip flexor right here against that resistance. Because I don't have anything pulling against my body weight, I'm actually going to use my body weight as the resistance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt my pelvis forward. I've already enhanced that hip flexor stretch. And I'm going to squeeze my glute and push my foot back into the wall. So I've got resistance coming from my pelvic tilt, my glute squeeze, and my foot kicking into the wall. I want to hold this contraction for about 6 seconds, which we're probably there now. Then I'm going to briefly relax. You see my pelvis come out of that tilt. And then I'm going to lean a little further forward into my stretch position. Again, I'm going to hold this stretch position for about 10 seconds. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then again, pelvic tilt, squeeze the glutes, push my foot back into the wall. I'm actively contracting my hip flexor against my body weight. 3, 2, and briefly relax, and then lean further into that stretch position. So you can see that as I'm going, as I'm completing these contractions and the brief relax, I'm able then, with each static stretch, to get further into my stretch position. I'm significantly further into this leg than I was when I first started, and I have not moved my bottom foot at all. So that's probably about 10 seconds. So my last contraction, pelvic tilt, squeeze the glute, push my foot into the wall. 4, 3, 2, briefly relax, and then if I want to, I can sink even further, right? And I'm really starting to feel that come from right here, which is my hip flexor, right? So I'm stretching this entire part of my leg and the front, my hip flexor right there. And then I will relax. So what I'm going to do lastly is switch my sock here and complete this full PNF stretch on the other leg without talking through it. So you can just see the stretch happen. A true 10 seconds, 6 seconds, 10 seconds, 6 seconds. All right. Front lunge, rear foot elevated. Here we go. Ten. 10. 5, 6. Relax. 9 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Relax. And a little bit. All right, that's it. Then I would just say, be careful coming out of this position, because when you put your muscles under a prolonged stretch like that, sometimes they feel a little funky when you're done, so just be careful with it and enjoy your PNF stretch.